My first guest in Gordon Street tonight has been part of some of this country's greatest comedy programs, including The D-Gen, The Late Show, the hugely successful Martin Molloy radio program, and many more. Would you please welcome comic, author and filmmaker, Tony Martin. Tony Martin.
Made it down those stairs. They said to me before I came on, don't fall down the stairs, or if you do, try and do it in a funny way. so we've got something for the promo.
Was there part of you, back of your mind, thinking, how do I fall in a funny way?
I thought, you know, I'll give it a few takes.
Now, you were home recently for
Yes.
research. Was it for your book? Or?
For a book called A Nest of Occasionals, I went back to the town that I'm from and just all kinds of horrible childhood sort of feelings came back. I don't know if you had this, Adam, but when I used to watch TV with my mum, if something sort of to do with sex or nudity, or often while I was watching a show called The Sweeney, there would be naked breasts would appear at any moment. It would just be incredibly uncomfortable, and my mum would just suddenly start noticing things that needed to be done. I think the ceiling, we should really redo the ceiling, I think, at this point. And so I went back and I was interviewing this couple who knew my grandfather, who were in their 70s, and they were watching... I was interviewing her and he was watching TV, and that show... Do you know the Australian show Satisfaction? You know that show? Set in a brothel. It's fairly full on. It's on cable. ABC viewers, it's not like Midsummer Murders. Let's just put it that way. And that was on, and so I'm doing the interview, and then I finished the interview, and I'm sort of just having a cup of tea, and there's a lot of awkward silences. And I noticed that on screen, and this is quite disturbing, but this happened in an episode of Satisfaction. A bloke goes to the brothel and asks one of the women, pays her a lot of money, if he can have sex with her while she pretends to be a corpse. Yep, this is AFI-nominated drama I'm talking about. So this woman has to lie perfectly still while he has sex with her. And this is going on, and I'm sitting there with a 70-year-old couple, and nobody's saying anything. It's incredibly uncomfortable. And then the woman just watching it for about 30 seconds, and then she just goes, "Oh, well, that's money for jam, isn't it?" So I thought... didn't use that in the book. I think maybe I should have.
Now, you've just made a new TV series as well called A Quiet Word With.
Yes, it was actually on last year. It was what was called an intermittent series, so I'm not sure if anyone saw it last year. But
I did. I loved it.
It's been moved to 9:30 on Saturday nights, the old birds of a feather time slot, if I remember.
As it's known in the industry.
That's right.
And you've got a clip to show us tonight.
Yes, it's... well, the show is me talking to mainly comedians, people that I'm a fan of. Alan Davies, do you know?
Oh, yeah, he was in Jonathan Creek. Yeah.
Whites, he's on at the moment, QI. And he used to be a stand-up comedian, so I was asking him, I think in this clip, about... He used to do a lot of material about Australia.
Right.
Because if you go there several times as a POM, you notice the attitude towards you. You know, you moan all the time. You keep your money under the soap. That was the one that stuck. You keep your money under the soap, and you never stop moaning.
Whinging.
You never stop whinging. You never stop whinging, and you think, hang on a minute, who's whinging? I'm just being quiet.
And I remember you were nominated for the Perrier Award. And I think you were beaten, weren't you, by Australians?
By Australians, yeah. By Leno and Woodley.
Yeah, and you've become good friends.
Yeah, we were good friends. And I came over to Australia a few years later, and I stayed at Colin Lane's house. And he made up a spare room for me, and I went in there at the end of the night to go to bed, and there was the Perrier Award on the bedside table.
Yeah, there you go.
Now, did you do that interview in London? Did you go to London for that?
Yes, we did fly to London. Have you? You've obviously been... People have been on that flight. How long is that flight? It's like 16 individual meals coming out on the way over. I'm sure they're just hiding behind the curtain going, right, they're almost asleep, send out breakfast. And then wait 10 minutes and send out another breakfast. When they've almost finished that, Christmas dinner.
And the joy of that flight is it's like 23 hours to get to London. And then when you get there, you've got to negotiate Heathrow. Well,
I had to wait in... I got stuck with all the bags, and I was in the duty-free chocolate department with the bags. And about 20 feet from where I was, someone had just left a suitcase, and that's the worst thing you can do in an airport. And so people just kept swarming in on it. And there was guys on walkie-talkies going, yeah, we've got an unattended bag. Yeah, it's definitely unattended. It's definitely can you see about this unattended bag? And they just kept talking about the unattended bag. More people arriving to confirm that, yes, it is unattended. and then they'd look over at me and as if it might be mine. And then I'd just been awake for a long time and I just started singing to myself, unattended bag, come on. It's so very unattended. And the guy picked up on that and came over to me. He's going, mate, that is not funny, all right? Don't sing a song about an unattended bag. I thought, is that something, they should have that on a sign. Do not sing any songs about unattended luggage.
Now, I've always wanted to ask you, and this is a weird thing, you and I kind of worked together.
Yeah,
because when you were on radio doing Martin Malloy, I was in Adelaide at the radio station making sure it went to air.
Right.
That was
you were the button pushers.
I was the button pushers.
Yeah, right.
So I used to listen to Martin Malloy every day, basically.
Man, you must have heard a lot of La Bouche. A lot of Ace of Base.
I heard, well, this is what I want to ask you about. I heard that you guys had a shed virtually airlifted onto the top of the Austereo building so that you could work in your own place without having to listen to the music they played.
They did. They craned one of those sheds that you have on a building site onto the roof of the building so we could have some quiet because I mean, it sounds great. You're working at a radio station, but you've got to understand they have the radio station playing constantly. I mean, when you hear Phil Collins' Easy Lover for the 5th time in 8 hours, you're trying to write a sketch and the promotions are just going constantly in every office. So you're trying to concentrate and you're just hearing, it's time for another smackdown. Let's put REO Speedwagon up against Christopher Cross and see who's left standing. Triple M Smackdown. Just noises of metal doors clanging. It was just, we had to get some peace.
Because you're quite possessive about the music you like. I've read that you don't like hearing it in advertisements.
Oh, yeah, well, that's it. I mean, people must have this when one of your favourite songs that's been your favourite song for all time suddenly appears in an ad and then it sort of ruins the song for you. That happened to me years ago with a song, I don't know if anyone remembers this song, Bo-doo, 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 Doors Plus. Just ruined it for me. I threw the album away.
Now, you also strike me as someone who's quite in control of what it is that you do. And you like to be in control of that. So
I'll be having that chair. Yes.
Are you the kind of person that gets into petty arguments about tiny things?
I do. Look, I get into arguments with delivery men constantly at my house. I was looking after a friend's house recently and she had a whole bunch of furniture delivered and she lived on the 2nd floor, right? So this giant moving van pulls up from the furniture company and the guy goes, right, how many stories is this? And I go, well, that's 2 stories. He goes, yeah, we only go up 3 flights. And I go, well, obviously that's fine because how many flights of stairs would there be in a 2-storey building, Adam?
Be 2 flights of stairs,
2 flights of stairs?
Yeah.
That's what you'd think. I've brought a diagram. That's how strongly I felt about it. You see that? The bloke goes, no. That's 1 flight to there. That's 1 flight to there. That's only halfway up. Because, you know, there's a bendy bit in the block of flats, so that's 1 flight, that's 2, that's 3. We only go this far. They leave all the furniture on the in-between bit of the landing, and I had to carry it up the rest of the way. Now, that's wrong. You wouldn't say that's not flight. I'm running upstairs. She's got a dictionary. I'm trying to look up the word flight in the dictionary. I mean, if you've got an 80-storey building, you don't go, that's 160 flights of stairs. That's ridiculous. And then I'm chasing the bloke out to his van after he's already been swearing at me for about 10 minutes. I'm going, well, hang on, why do you have a 3-flight policy? Why don't you have a 2 or a 4-flight policy? Because surely why would you have a 3-flight policy if it's always going to end up there? There's just always going to be furniture on the... Am I thinking about this too much? No. How long ago might be?
How long ago did this happen?
It's about 2.5 years ago, Adam, but... Obviously, it took me a long time to get the diagram together.
I really hope the guys watching this go, man, he doesn't let up about that, does he? Do you want to hang around? Are you all right to hang around for the rest of the show?
All right, I've got more diagrams.
We've still got Charlie Borman on the way, Dan Kelly, Architecture in Helsinki, and more stories from the studio audience. But for the moment, please thank Tony Martin.
Thanks.
Great. Thank you.